I sit alone on the edge of my childhood bed, the one I've slept in for 31 years, holding a framed family photo from my sister's college graduation. We're all smiling, mom and dad beaming with pride, Vanessa radiant in her cap and gown, and me standing slightly to the side, my smile not quite reaching my eyes. The sound of Vanessa's sobs drifts up from downstairs, punctuated by my mother's murmured comforts. My hands tremble as I place the photo face down on my nightstand. A sharp knock rattles my door, and without waiting for a response, my father pushes it open. The lines in his face seem carved deeper today, his complexion ashen but tan. "How could you do this to your own sister?" His voice cracks with barely contained rage. "Dad, what are you talking about?" But even as I ask, a cold dread pools in my stomach. Downstairs. Now. He turns abruptly, expecting me to follow. In our living room, Mom perches on the edge of the sofa, dabbing her eyes with a crumpled tissue. Vanessa paces between the coffee table and the fireplace, her designer heels clicking accusingly against the hardwood floor. James, her fiancé, stands with his arm around her shoulders whenever she pauses, his face a mask of stern disapproval. "What exactly am I being accused of?" I ask, wrapping my arms around myself. Vanessa whirls toward me, her mascara smeared beneath red-rimmed eyes. "My engagement ring is gone," she shrieks. "The 3-carat diamond that's been in James's family for 4 generations. The accusation hangs in the air between us." "And why would you think I had anything to do with that?" My voice sounds steadier than I feel. Mom clears her throat. "You were the only one home yesterday when Vanessa took it off to do the dishes." "And we found your little savings stash," Dad adds, his eyes never meeting mine. $2,500 hidden in a shoebox in your closet. For a moment, I'm transported back to our childhood Vanessa, and me climbing the massive oak tree in the backyard, laughing and reaching for the highest branches. Then the image shifts to Vanessa's graduation from Princeton, our parents' faces glowing with pride while I stood in the background, community college brochures stuffed in my purse. Later that night, as I served the dessert I'd made from scratch, I'd whispered my dream of pastry school, only to be met with polite smiles and quickly diverted conversation. "That money is for pastry school," I say, my throat tight. "I've been saving for years." Vanessa scoffs, tossing her perfect hair. "You've been talking about pastry school forever, but never had money before." "We should check pawn shops in the neighboring towns," James suggests, pulling out his phone. "It's a distinctive setting, Edwardian era. Platinum with—" "Wait." I hold up my hands. "You seriously think I stole your ring and pawned it?" Mom and Dad exchange a look that slices through me, a look of disappointment, but not surprise, as if they've always been waiting for me to reveal my true, lesser nature. Dad squares his shoulders. "You have 48 hours to pack your things and leave this house." The decree lands like a physical blow. I search each face for any sign of doubt, any crack in their certainty of my guilt. There is none. Rain begins to tap against the windows as evening approaches, the warm oak tones of our family home suddenly feeling cold and foreign. With a strange sense of calm that comes only in moments of absolute crisis, I open my wallet and remove the small family photos I've carried for years. I place them deliberately on the coffee table. "I didn't take the ring," I say, my voice steady. "Someday you'll realize that." Mom's tissue doesn't catch her fresh tears. Dad's face hardens further. Vanessa watches with a strange mixture of triumph and uncertainty as I climb the stairs alone to begin packing. In my room, I stare out the window at the gathering storm. The rain falls harder now, mirroring the tears I refuse to shed. My phone buzzes in my pocket, a text from my cousin Daniel. "Whatever you need, I'm here." I press my forehead against the cool glass and whisper to the empty room. Where do you go when the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally believe the worst about you? The house below me continues to buzz with activity phone calls being made. Rumors already spreading. My reputation dissolving in real time. I pull my suitcase from the closet and begin the systematic dismantling of the only life I've ever known. They've made their choice. And now, with the weight of their betrayal pressing down on me from all sides, I have no choice but to make mine. Rain pelts my shoulders as I drag my suitcase through puddles that mirror the dark sky above. The wheels catch on cracks in the sidewalk, jolting my arm with each obstacle, as if the universe itself is creating roadblocks. My phone buzzes again the fifth time in 20 minutes. I don't need to look to know it's Vanessa. The thought of her name sends a fresh wave of betrayal washing over me. When I reach Daniel's apartment building, I pause under the meager shelter of the entrance overhang, water dripping from my hair onto already soaked shoulders. The buzzer feels cold under my fingertip. "It's me," I say, my voice barely audible over the storm. Daniel's apartment is small and cluttered with military memorabilia and textbooks from his night classes, but it's warm in a way that has nothing to do with temperature. The couch has been transformed with fresh sheets, a folded blanket, and a pillow that looks newer than anything else in the apartment. A stack of clean towels sits on the coffee table beside a mug of steaming tea. "You're soaked," he says, taking my suitcase. "Get changed, then we'll talk." In the bathroom, I catch my reflection in the mirror mascara trailing down cheeks I didn't realize were wet with more than rain. The woman staring back at me looks like a stranger, her eyes holding a hollowness I've never seen before. When I emerge in borrowed sweatpants and an oversized Air Force t-shirt, Daniel sits waiting, 2 mugs of tea on the coffee table between us. "Start from the beginning," he says, and there's no pity in his voice, just steady resolve that somehow makes it possible to speak. My phone buzzes for the 30th time that morning. 29 notifications I've ignored, but this one demands attention, my boss's name flashing on the screen. I answer with a hand that won't stop trembling. "Charlotte," his voice catches. "Look, you know I think you're a great employee, but the Morgans are our biggest donors for the community fund. And Vanessa's fiance's family owns half the commercial property downtown." The pit in my stomach deepens with each word. "We can't have this kind of publicity. I'm sorry." The call ends, and I set the phone down carefully, as if any sudden movement might shatter what little remains of my life. Daniel looks up from his laptop, his expression darkening as he reads my face. "What happened?" I play the first voicemail message from earlier, setting it on speaker. A friend from high school's voice fills the room. "Charlotte, your sister told everyone you stole from her. Is it true? Call me back." Each message grows progressively worse. By the end, Daniel's jaw clenches so tight I can see the muscle twitch. "They didn't just take your home," he says quietly. "They're making sure you have nowhere to go." That night, I scroll through social media, each swipe revealing new devastation. Vanessa's tearful post has hundreds of sympathetic comments. Betrayal and theft within my own family. The person I trusted most has broken my heart. Mom and Dad's subtle reinforcement sits beneath. "We're here for you, sweetheart. Family stands together through terrible ordeals." Except me. I'm not family anymore. I keep scrolling back through years of photo sour annual Christmas card pictures, Vanessa's graduation, family vacations. In every image, the pattern is unmistakable. Vanessa central, Mom and Dad flanking her, and me, slightly apart. Not quite excluded, but not fully included either. They've been preparing to believe the worst about you for years. Daniel observes over my shoulder, handing me a mug of decaf. "Look how they're positioned. It's like they've always seen you as separate." The realization lands with stunning clarity. "Family is supposed to be who you can count on most," I whisper. "Sometimes the family you choose matters more than the one you're born into," Daniel replies, and then his phone buzzes. That's Emma. She's bringing groceries. An hour later, Daniel's small apartment hosts an unlikely gathering. Emma from the store brings not just groceries, but hugs that feel like lifelines. Daniel's friend Marcus offers connections at the warehouse where he works as a supervisor. His girlfriend Tara mentions her cousin needs weekend help at a local diner. As they talk around me, building a safety net I never knew I needed. The contrast sharpens between the family that discarded me and these friends who believe in me without question. The alarm blares at 5 a.m. I shut it off before it wakes Daniel, moving quietly through the unfamiliar morning ritual in his apartment. The coffee maker gurgles as I open my laptop, sending out another dozen job applications before the sun rises. By afternoon, I stand in the back of Rosie's diner, hands submerged in soapy water, scrubbing pots that refuse to surrender their baked-on residue. The work is mindless but honest. Each clean dish represents a tiny step toward independence. "You're overqualified," Rosie had said during my interview, spectacles perched on her nose as she reviewed my application. "But you've got honest eyes. Can you start today?" At the end of my shift, I count out the meager tips shared with the kitchen staff, $12.43. I record the amount in a small notebook Daniel gave me, adding it to yesterday's earnings. The growing tally represents more than money. It's the first chapter of my self-reliance. That evening, I walk into the credit union with my first week's pay, heart pounding as I approach the teller. "I'd like to open an account," I say, my voice stronger than I expected. Just my name on it. The simple act of signing my name alone on the form feels like planting a flag on newly discovered territory. 3 weeks later, the letter arrives at Daniel's apartment. Heavy cream stationery, my father's law firm's letterhead prominent at the top. My hands tremble as I read demands to cease harassment of the Morgan family, threatening legal action if I continue attempting contact. Daniel reads over my shoulder, his expression grave. "They're creating a paper trail." "But I haven't even tried to contact them," I whisper, the paper shaking in my hands. "They're building a narrative, making themselves the victims." He takes the letter, folding it carefully. "We should keep this." That night, sleep evades me. The uncomfortable couch pokes at my back as I stare at the ceiling, moonlight casting shadows across unfamiliar terrain. Behind my closed eyes, memories surface Vanessa at the kitchen sink, laughing about something James said, slipping off her ring to wash dishes. I bolt upright, sudden clarity washing over me. The ring I remember now. Vanessa set it on the counter edge. I saw it wobble, watched it slide into that gap between the counter and the wall. I'd meant to mention it, but Mom called me to help bring in groceries. My finger hovers over Dad's contact on my phone. One call could end this, one simple explanation. Slowly, I set the phone down. They wouldn't believe me anyway. The certainty settles into my bones like a truth I've always known, but never acknowledged. Tomorrow, I'll pick up extra shifts at the diner. Next week, I'll follow up on the warehouse application. And someday, I'll build a life so solid that their absence feels less like an amputation and more like a distant scar. My hands cradle the envelope, turning it over 3 times before I dare to rip it open. The warehouse break room falls silent as my coworkers lean in. Their coffee cups pause midway to lips. "Well?" Marcus asks, his weathered face creasing with anticipation. I pull out the official letter and scan the first paragraph. The words blur, then sharpen as my vision clears. "I got it," I whisper, then louder. "They promoted me to shift supervisor." The room erupts in cheers that feel genuine, not the polite, measured approval I grew accustomed to at family dinners. Marcus claps me on the shoulder with calloused hands, and Janice, who trained me 9 months ago when I stumbled in desperate for any job, wraps me in a hug that smells of cardboard and cinnamon gum. "Nobody deserves it more, Charlotte," she says. "From dishwasher to warehouse supervision in less than a year? That's real grit." I don't tell her about the nights I practiced inventory systems until my eyes burned, or how I memorized shipping regulations on my lunch breaks. Some transformations happen in the quiet spaces between survival. The apartment key feels substantial in my palm as I climb 4 flights of stairs. My thighs burn by the 3rd floor, a familiar discomfort I'm growing to appreciate. Pain with purpose feels different from pain without reason. "Home sweet home," I murmur, pushing open the door to my studio apartment. It's smaller than my childhood bedroom, with one window overlooking a brick wall and pipes that knock when the upstairs neighbor showers. But the first month's rent and security deposit came from my own earnings, saved dollar by dollar over half a year. No family loans, no conditions attached. I drop my backpack on the futon that doubles as my bed and collapse beside it, Still in my work clothes. My fingers find the crinkled newspaper folded in my pocket, the one I've been avoiding all day. With a deep breath, I smooth it open on my lap. Vanessa's perfect smile beams up at me from the society page. Local attorney to Wednesday investment banker in spring ceremony, the headline announces. James stands beside her, his arm possessively around her waist, the replacement ring glittering on her finger. My stomach lurches. I press my hand flat against the cold brick wall until the dizziness passes. Christmas decorations frame their photograph wreath in the background, tiny lights twinkling. The holiday season has ambushed me, appearing in store windows and radio jingles when I wasn't looking. For 31 years, Christmas meant Mom's sugar cookies and Dad reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" on Christmas Eve, no matter how old we were. It meant Vanessa and I hanging ornaments on the tree, fighting over who got to place the star on top. A knock at my door saves me from drowning in memory. Daniel stands in the hallway holding a small tabletop Christmas tree in a plastic pot, its miniature branches dusted with fake snow. "Thought you might need this," he says, setting it on my kitchen counter, which is really just a 2-foot section of the wall with a microwave and hot plate. Time to make new traditions. He doesn't mention the newspaper or ask why my eyes are red. This is what real family does. They know when to speak, and when silence is the greater kindness. My apartment transforms slowly, one personal touch at a time. A wall of Polaroid photos grows beside my futon snapshots of people who entered my life after everything fell apart. Daniel teaching me how to change a flat tire. Emma and her girlfriend inviting me for Sunday brunch. Marcus showing me how to operate the forklift. My calendar hangs beside them, the 15th of January circled in red marker. Beside it, the confirmation email for my night classes in business basics, printed and tacked up as a daily reminder. I'm reviewing my bank statement at my small folding table when I allow myself a rare moment of pride. 9 months of careful budgeting has yielded consistent growth in my savings. Not enough for tuition yet, but a foundation. Evidence of possibility. To Charlotte, 6 voices cheer in unison, raising glasses above plates of half-eaten diner food. Emma organized this birthday gathering me first, since the implosion of my old life. The booth at Denny's isn't exactly the formal dinner my parents would have arranged, but the laughter feels more nourishing than any gourmet meal. Open mine next. Daniel urges, sliding a small package across the table. Inside is a gift card for professional clothes. For when you start taking over the business world, he explains. Each gift reflects thoughtful attention to who I'm becoming: a cookbook from Emma, pastry tools from Marcus and his wife, even a set of quality knives from Janice, who barely knows me outside of work. "I want to say something," I announce, my voice steadier than I expected. A year ago, I had a bigger house, but a smaller life. The words catch in my throat, but I push through. "Thank you for showing me what real support looks like." Daniel raises his coffee mug. "To the strongest person I know." The phrase settles over me like a new identity I'm still trying on for size. The fluorescent lights of the hardware store cast everyone in an unflattering glow. I'm comparing different brands of spackling paste to patch a hole in my apartment wall when I spot him, father, examining electrical switches 3 aisles over. Time slows as he turns slightly, his profile achingly familiar. The same wire-rimmed glasses. The same methodical way he reads product specifications. For a second, his eyes flick toward me, a flash of recognition crossing his face before he deliberately turns away, continuing his shopping as if I'm a stranger. I wait for the collapse, for the pain to drop me where I stand, but my hands remain steady on the spackling container, my breathing even. I complete my purchase and walk to my car, where I sit gripping the steering wheel. Later, I tell Daniel, it hurt less than I expected. The realization arrives like a revelation. Their emotional hold is weakening. Strangers can't break your heart twice. "Tell us about a time you overcame a significant professional challenge," says the woman on my laptop screen, her voice slightly distorted through my cheap speakers. I'm dressed in the blazer from Daniel's gift card, sitting at my folding table, now draped with a tablecloth to look more professional for this video interview. Behind me, I've hung a curtain to hide my futon. When I lost my previous position unexpectedly, I begin the carefully rehearsed answer flowing naturally. I had to rebuild my professional network from scratch. I started at entry level in a new industry, identified mentors willing to teach me, and earned 3 promotions within 9 months. I don't mention family betrayal or false accusations. Some details don't belong on resumes. The pastry school application sits completed on my table, a small portfolio of dessert photos tucked inside creations from my tiny kitchen, each one representing hours of practice after long warehouse shifts. Recommendation letters from my new manager and 2 clients praise my attention to detail and perseverance. My scholarship essay begins. True strength isn't avoiding hardship, but finding purpose within it. When the notification appears on my phone as updance, followed by an offer of partial scholarship, the quiet celebration feels more meaningful than any elaborate party. I touch the pastry school acceptance letter, now framed beside my bed. 2 years ago, they said I'd never amount to anything. I whispered in my empty apartment. For the first time in years, my smile reaches my eyes. The last nail goes into the wall, and I hang the framed acceptance letter where I'll see it first thing every morning. My tiny apartment finally feels like a launching pad rather than a fallback position. My phone rings, an unknown number lighting up the screen. I almost let it go to voicemail, probably another credit card offer, but something compels me to answer. Charlotte. The voice sends electricity through my body. My mother. 2 years of silence shattered in a single word. My heartbeat thunders in my ears as I struggle to find my voice. Yes? We need to talk to you. A pause, heavy with unspoken history. Then the 3 words that could unravel everything I've built. We found the ring. I arrive at Riverdale Coffee 20 minutes early, slipping into the corner table that offers a clear view of both entrances. The chair's wooden back presses against my spine as I position myself with the wall behind me. A defensive posture, but necessary. Daniel's text drips from my pocket. I'm parked across the street, 1 word, and I'm inside. I type back. I'm fine. Just stay close. When I glance up from my phone, they're already walking through the door, 3 figures, moving as a unit, just as they always have. Dad's shoulders slope more than I remember. Mom's hair shows more gray, and Vanessa's designer coat hangs slightly looser on her frame. 4 years carves itself differently on each face. They spot me and falter briefly before approaching. No one moves to hug me. Good. I wouldn't have known what to do with my arms anyway. Charlotte. Dad says, my name sounding foreign in his mouth after so long. Mom's eyes dart across my face, cataloging changes. You look well. Professional, Vanessa adds, as if surprised. I gesture to the empty chairs. Sit. The vinyl cushions squeak as they arrange themselves opposite me. Mom immediately fiddles with her napkin, folding it into smaller and smaller triangles. Dad's throat works with unspoken words. Vanessa's left hand trembles slightly, her wedding ring catching the overhead light. You said you found the ring. My voice comes out steadier than I expected. Dad clears his throat. Yes, during the kitchen renovation last month. He can't quite meet my eyes. Behind the counter, in that gap near the sink. Vanessa leans forward. I remember now. I was cooking that night. Took it off because the dough was sticky. Her voice cracks. I must have knocked it off the counter. We jump to conclusions. Mom whispers, her napkin now a crumpled mess. The words hang in the air between us. Inadequate and late. Yes, I say, you did. Silence fills our table while around us. The coffee shop bustles with normal life baristas calling out orders. The hiss of espresso machines, strangers laughing together. We can be a family again. Vanessa blurts out, tear tracks already marking her makeup. Now that we know the truth. I take a slow sip of my coffee, setting the mug back on the table with deliberate precision. From my shoulder bag, I remove a manila folder and place it between us. This is what your accusations cost me. Dad flips it open. Inside are newspaper clippings with my name splashed across the local gossip column, screenshots of Vanessa's social media posts about betrayal within my own family, a termination letter from my former employer citing character concerns, and bank statements showing my climb from zero to stability. Dad blanches. We can help you get back on your feet. Financially, I mean. A laugh escapes me. Sharp and genuine. I've been on my feet for years without you. You made a terrible mistake, Mom says, her voice small. I need my sister back, Vanessa pleads, reaching across the table. I don't extend my hand to meet hers. I'm not the same person you threw away. Time stretches between us as they absorb this. I watch comprehension dawn in 3 different ways, Dad's jaw tightening, Mom's shoulders sagging, Vanessa's eyes widening. Since you last saw me, I continue. I've been promoted twice. Revised 16 people. I completed my pastry certification with distinction. I have my own apartment. Each achievement lands like a stone between us. I did all of this without a single dollar or word of encouragement from any of you. Dad shifts in his seat. You didn't need us after all. His words reveal how little he understands. I needed you, I correct him quietly. I just learned to live without you. Mom dabs at fresh tears. This time, they seem genuine. Vanessa leans forward eagerly. So you forgive us, right? You'll come to Sunday dinner? Mom's making pot roast this weekend. I take another deliberate sip of coffee, feeling their anticipation build. 4 years ago, I would have jumped at this opening, grateful for any crumb of acceptance. Forgiveness and reconciliation aren't the same thing, I say finally. What does that mean? Vanessa's voice rises slightly. It means I can forgive without pretending nothing happened. It means I decide the terms of our relationship now. I meet each of their gazes in turn. No Sunday dinners yet, coffee once a month. Phone calls maybe. We start small and see where it goes. But we're family, Mom protests. Family doesn't evict family on suspicion, I reply evenly. Family doesn't destroy reputations without proof. Family believes in each other. I stand, dropping cash on the table from my coffee. You'll need to earn that word back. I shoulder my bag and walk away, the rhythmic click of my boots against the tile floor punctuating my exit. Through the window, I see their reflections watching me go. 3 faces wearing identical expressions of dawning realization I am no longer theirs to summon or dismiss. Daniel straightens as I approach his car. How did it go? I slide into the passenger seat and buckle my seatbelt before answering. They found the ring, I say, but I found myself. My phone vibrates in my pocket. I pull it out to find an email notification glowing on the screen, the job offer in Texas, officially extended. A door opening to a future where I'm defined by where I'm going, not where I've been. Daniel raises an eyebrow. Good news? I smile, the first genuine one of the day. The best kind. Options. I smooth my napkin across my lap as my mother refills my water glass for the 3rd time. The late afternoon sun slants through my apartment windows, catching the edges of the framed pastry school certificate on my wall. 6 months of careful, measured family reconnection has established a rhythm I can almost predict. Mom's nervous chatter, Dad's cautious questions about my job, Vanessa's overeager compliments on everything from my throw pillows to my haircut. Charlotte, these lemon bars are divine, Vanessa says, brushing crumbs from her lips. You've always had such a gift. I nod my thanks, the words unlike you hanging unspoken between us. Despite the ring's discovery and their tearful apologies, something essential remains broken. Their sudden interest in my culinary talents feels like discovering water in the desert after dying of thirst. Welcome, but far too late. Your apartment is so cozy, Mom says, her eyes darting to the compact kitchen where I've maximized every inch of counter space. I recognize the familiar pattern, her praise always carrying a hidden asterisk. It suits me, I reply, the firmness in my voice surprising even me. I've made it exactly what I need. Dad clears his throat. the sound I've come to recognize as his preparation for broaching difficult topics. The hospital is looking for a new office manager in billing. Margaret heard about it from Susan Rivers. The pay is better than whatever they're giving you at that warehouse. And you'd be closer to home. Home. The word lands like a stone in still water, ripples of meaning expanding outward. Their home was never truly mine, just a place where I existed in their shadow. I take a deliberate sip of water, feeling the weight of the sealed envelope in my desk drawer. The job offer from Holden Logistics in Austin, complete with relocation bonus and health benefits. The culmination of 6 months of late-night applications and video interviews conducted in my supervisor's office after my shifts ended. Actually, I say, setting my glass down carefully, I have some news. 3 pairs of eyes fix on me with varying degrees of expectation. I've carefully maintained our Sunday coffee meetings while declining dinner invitations, birthday celebrations, and holiday gatherings. Each boundary I've established has been met with thinly veiled disappointment, each limit tested like a child pressing against a newly erected fence. I've accepted a position as Regional Logistics Manager for Holden Transportation in Texas. I start in 3 weeks. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the refrigerator's constant hum seems to pause in recognition of the moment's weight. Texas? My mother's voice rises an octave, her hand flying to her throat. But we just found you again. You can't be serious, Dad says, leaning forward. After everything we've done to make amends, Vanessa's eyes fill with tears, right on cue. You're punishing us deliberately. We've apologized 1,000 ways. And there it is, the immediate centering of themselves in my narrative. My opportunity, my achievement, my future, immediately reduced to a reaction to them. 6 months of cautious reconciliation crashes against the rocks of their self-absorption. This isn't about you, I say. The words emerging with a calmness that belies the thundering of my heart. This is about my career, my future. Your future is here, with your family, Mom insists, reaching for my hand across the table. I pull back slightly, just enough to maintain the physical boundary. There's my emotional one. My hands begin to tremble, not with the old familiar anxiety, but with something electric and unfamiliar. 6 months of measured smiles, careful nods, and swallowed responses surge upward like a tide I can no longer contain. For half a year, I've calibrated every word, monitored every expression, maintained perfect control in their presence. Not anymore. My coffee cup clatters against its saucer as I set it down too hard. The sudden sound makes Vanessa jump. You didn't just accuse me, I say, my voice breaking free of the controlled politeness I've maintained for months. My words come faster, louder, untethered from my usual restraint. You condemned me without trial. You destroyed my reputation, cost me my job, and threw me out with nothing but a suitcase. I stand abruptly, knocking my chair back. My mother gasps. I've never moved so suddenly, spoken so forcefully in her presence. The Charlotte they know doesn't disrupt, doesn't demand, doesn't disturb the careful performance of family harmony. I stride to the window, my reflection showing flushed cheeks and bright eyes I barely recognize. The evening shadows lengthen across the parking lot as something long buried in me finally reaches daylight. Do you know how many holidays I spent alone? My voice rises with each word. Tears I've never allowed them to see now streaming freely down my face. How many achievements I celebrated without family. The first time I sold pastries at the farmer's market, I looked up expecting to see you, forgetting for just a moment that you weren't there, that you chose not to be there. I spin around to face them, these strangers who share my blood but not my battles. My chest heaves with ragged breaths. For the first time in my life, I make no effort to appear smaller, quieter, more acceptable in their eyes. You're not sad I'm leaving. The truth bursts from me, raw and unfiltered. You're sad you can't control my forgiveness timeline. Dad's face hardens, then softens in a way I've rarely seen. Beneath his anger, something like respect flickers. We deserved that, he admits, the words seemingly wrenched from him. Mom dabs at her eyes, but for once her tears seem genuine rather than performative. I'm so sorry, Charlotte. Not just for what happened, but for how we've handled everything since. We've been trying to fix us without seeing you. Vanessa stands, smoothing her designer jeans with shaking hands. We don't deserve your forgiveness. This move isn't about forgiveness or punishment, I clarify, feeling strangely lighter. It's about building the life I want, not rebuilding what was taken. The conversation shifts then. Tentative questions about my new position, the apartment I'll be searching for in Austin. When they finally leave, the goodbye is subdued, but marked by a new understanding, perhaps the first honest exchange we've had in years. I stand at my sink washing dishes, watching my reflection in the darkened window. The night envelops the world outside, while inside, the warm lights of my small apartment, my creation, my sanctuary illuminate the woman I've become. My phone buzzes with a text from Daniel. Proud of you. Texas won't know what hit it. I smile, touching the frame of a photo taken at my pastry school graduation. Daniel, Emma, and the others who became my chosen family. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't staying to fight, but knowing when to walk away. I stand in my kitchen in Austin, sliding freshly baked maple pecan tarts into white bakery boxes. Morning light streams through the window, catching on the certificate hanging on my wall. Charlotte Morgan, Pastry Art Certification. The apartment smells of butter and sugar, of possibility. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma. Sold out again this weekend? I smile as I reply, 30 orders. Had to turn people away. The weekend pastry business started as a way to keep my skills sharp while working at Meridian Logistics. But word has spread. 3 weekends ago, the food editor from the local paper called. The review comes out next week. The kitchen timer chimes and I slide on oven mitts to retrieve the last batch. These are for Mrs. Hernandez in 4B, who reminds me of what a grandmother should be. She tells stories of her own fresh start in Texas 40 years ago, listens without judgment, and declares my pastries worth the extra insulin. My reflection catches in the oven door, shoulders straight, eyes clear. I barely recognize the woman who arrived in Texas 1 year ago, carrying more emotional baggage than physical belongings. The Christmas tree in the corner is small but perfect, decorated with ornaments I've collected in my new life. No heirlooms, no history, just fresh beginnings. Daniel is flying in tomorrow, bringing a box of snow from Nebraska. So you don't forget your roots, he joked on our last video call. But my roots have changed, growing in new soil. Across my dining table are applications from 3 young women seeking mentorship through the Fresh Start program I launched at work. Women facing family estrangement, domestic disruption, financial crisis. Women like I was. Family isn't just who raises you, it's who lifts you up. I tell Jasmine, my current mentee, during our Tuesday lunch meetings. Sometimes the hardest thing is letting go of who you thought they were. I sealed the last box with a sticker bearing my logo, a simple oak tree with spreading branches. Ironic, perhaps, but the oak in our backyard was the one place where Vanessa and I found common ground. Some roots feed you, others just hold you in place. Vanessa's letter sits on my counter, read twice since it arrived yesterday. Unlike her previous communications, this one contains no guilt, no demands for instant forgiveness. Just photos of Mom's birthday, Dad's retirement party, their new puppy. At the end, a single line, we're learning to respect your boundaries. Too little, too late? Maybe. But as Daniel says, healing happens on your timeline, not theirs. The suitcase lies open on my bed as I carefully pack specialty pastries in travel containers. Cranberry orange scones, chocolate bourbon pecan tarts, gingerbread cookies with lemon glaze. Not peace offerings. Gifts. There's a difference. Tomorrow I fly back to Nebraska for the first time since I left. Not for Christmas, I'm spending that with friends here, but for a brief visit before the holiday. On my terms. 3 nights in a hotel, not in my childhood home. My phone pings with an email notification. A storefront is available for weekend lease in the Arts District. perfect for a pastry shop that's outgrowing my apartment kitchen. I've run the numbers. With my logistics salary and growing customer base, it's viable. Daniel's latest text appears. Just got approved for the transfer request. Text us by March if you'll have me. I smile, warmth spreading through my chest. The universe expanding rather than contracting. The Nebraska air hits my face like a slap of memory as Daniel and I exit the rental car in front of my parents' house. Frost crunches beneath my boots. My breath forms clouds that dissipate in seconds, like so many things I once thought permanent. Ready? Daniel asks, carrying the pastry boxes. I nod, straightening my shoulders. Just a visitor. Not seeking a home. Mom opens the door before we reach it. She's aged, hair grayer than in my memory. Her arms twitch as if to hug me, then fall back to her sides, respecting the boundary I established in our last phone call. Charlotte, she says, voice tight with emotion, you look wonderful. Dad appears behind her, nodding stiffly. Vanessa hovers in the living room doorway, uncertainty written across her face. Inside, the house smells the same. Mom's potpourri. Dad's pipe tobacco lingering despite his quitting years ago. Familiar furniture, familiar photos, but the space feels smaller, compressed by time and distance. Your hair is different, Vanessa offers. Yes. I touch the shoulder. Length cut, styled with confidence rather than pulled back to disappear. Texas is hot. Conversation stutters and starts around the dining room table. Mom mentions church friends I barely remember. Dad asks carefully about my job, genuinely impressed when I explain my role managing international shipping logistics. Vanessa's husband, James, is conspicuously absent. He's working, she explains, twisting her wedding ring. He says hello. I don't believe her, but it doesn't matter anymore. After dinner, I step out the back door into the cold night air. The oak tree stands silhouetted against the star-speckled sky, exactly where it's always been. But something's different. It looks smaller, Daniel says, joining me with 2 steaming mugs of coffee. I accept one, warming my hands around the ceramic. I was just thinking that. I used to think it touched the clouds. We stand in companionable silence, watching our breath mist and fade. Above us, Orion's belt gleams clear and bright, the same stars I see from my apartment balcony in Texas. You know what's strange? I sip the coffee. I expected to feel something dramatic. Vindication. Resentment. Something. But mostly I feel peace, Daniel suggests. Perspective. I correct him. I can see the whole picture now. Them. Me. This tree. I gesture with my mug. It's just a tree. Not a monument. Not a metaphor. Just a living thing that grew as best it could with the light it was given. Daniel bumps my shoulder gently with his. Like someone else I know. Inside, I hear Vanessa's laugh, Mom's response. Life continuing, with or without me at its center. And that's okay. My phone vibrates in my pocket, a text from Mrs. Hernandez about tomorrow's pastry order. Worlds away. The message includes a photo of the Texas night sky with a caption, "Same stars watching over you there and here." I smile at the coincidence, at the truth of it. Some connections remain unbroken by distance or time. Others are forged anew, stronger for being chosen rather than inherited. The family that raised me gave me roots. The family I chose gave me wings. But the strength to use those wings, that came from learning to stand alone. As I look up one last time at the sky, arching over my past and my future, I know with quiet certainty that I'm exactly where I need to be, on the path I've carved with my own hands, under stars that shine in both worlds.